Hi everyone, this is Jan with Photography for Beginners. For this first video tutorial, we are gonna take a look at that banner picture and how we end up to the picture that you see every day on the group from the picture that you see now on my screen. That's the original shot. So for that image, I wanted some warmer look, kind of sunset style, and that's not something you can always get right in camera. So that's why we edit our pictures. I think it was a pretty good picture from the start. The exposure was fine. Of course, there's that distortion that you get with wide-angle lens, but the sky was really interesting with these clouds, and I thought there was great potential here. So let's get started. First thing I want to check is on the lens correction space here. It's on the right of your screen. When you scroll down, you can go over to the basic tab and check these two boxes. That's usually I have a import profile in Lightroom, and these two boxes are checked by default on every image I import in Lightroom. Next thing we want to do is fix the perspective. So you have different ways to do that. You can use the full or vertical here button in Lightroom to try to fix that automatically. It does actually a pretty good job, but I'm gonna show you how you do it manually because sometimes that doesn't work. So let's go over to the manual settings here, and that's mostly on the vertical slider that you apply this change. So you have the grid here that helps you see when you reach vertical for these buildings and the details that you want to pay attention, like the Brooklyn Bridge here. You don't want these shapes to be slanted. And I'm gonna check that box that automatically crops the image on the areas that are visible. I think it's pretty good as it is. Next thing I wanted for that image, like I said earlier, was the warm look, like kind of like a sunset, but overall apply on that image, which gives you a little bit of an unrealistic look. But for that image, that's kind of what I was aiming for. So I'm gonna change my white balance, and the white balance is really a setting you want to play with it. When you have an image, it can make or unmake a picture. Really, it's a great tool to give some warmth, or on the opposite, some pictures really work well with a very cold white balance. It's something you really want to play with. So here I'm gonna bring it a little bit more, just like that. I think it's fine. So from a color perspective, I think I'm pretty happy with this. The problem now is the sky that doesn't really stand out. These clouds could benefit, some details. And for this, what I like to use is the adjustment brush. I'm not a big fan of the graded filter here because it's hard to control when the space is not really horizontal. It's hard to manage these shapes that go up, and to exclude these shapes from the graded filter. Lightroom has some features to do this, but I usually find it easier to do this with the adjustment brush. What you can do with the adjustment brush is you select the brush size. That's usually something you can do with the mouse, with the scroll wheel. I think everybody has a scroll wheel on their mouse today, so you can scroll up and down, make it bigger, and if you push the shift key at the same time, it's gonna change your feathering. So I'm gonna choose a big feather, a big tool, and paint over. One interesting tip here: if you push the O key, it's going to show you with a red overlay what you're painting. It's really convenient. Don't be afraid by going a little bit far into the building. That's only the feather area. It's usually not gonna be a big problem. It's not gonna be visible. The thing that's more important is to keep a big feather, because when you have rough edges, the editing is really too easily spotted, and it's not something that you want. I usually like my image, natural. Alright, I think it's pretty good like that. I can hit the O key again, make it disappear, and whatever settings you had before, they're gonna be preset here in that panel. So you can just double click the effect button to reset everything. And I'm gonna play with the exposure to bring these details back, bring back some of the highlights in the sky, and get some more dramatic sky for that picture. That's what we're aiming for. Clarity is actually very good on these clouds. It really helps bring the darker area to stand out. I think I'm pretty much where I want to be here. You can help that warm tone a little bit on these clouds as well, so that matches a little bit more what you have down here in the buildings. I think it's pretty good. What I like to do usually in my images is bring the highlights down as well. It really helps bring some more details back, especially from skies. That's not bad. What I like to work with now is the bottom of the Brooklyn Bridge. It's a little bit dark. I think it looks underexposed. So we're gonna create a new shape and paint over just that part. Just change it, reset the settings. You can double click on effect here and bring the exposure up a little bit. Not too much. You want it, there's some natural shadows here, so you don't want to push it. Alright, I think it's not bad. Let's see a little bit more on the white balance if we can get different setting. No, I think it's okay. We can hit the F key, have a full screen view of the picture. I think it's not bad. Now, what I like to do with this picture, I never know if I want a lot of the sky, the water, if I want to put the accent on the bridge and the One World Trade Center. Let's see if a different crop, for example, would work here. So I click on the crop tool, and what I like to do is maybe center a little bit on the city itself. I think what's really interesting in that picture is the Brooklyn Bridge. So I don't want a bridge to be lost in the middle of the picture. So I would like to bring it back towards the center. Okay, a little bit of a glitch here. Maybe lose some of the sky. It's not necessarily a problem. I kind of like the horizontal format for that image. Let's see. Yeah, so here it is. So that's pretty much what was done in the picture. There was more into it, so I worked with Photoshop on that one to remove the small details that you can see. There's a crane here on top of that building, so I removed this in Photoshop. Some small details in the picture, working well zoomed in, and really clean up the image to make it some kind of a final product. So that's pretty much what was done with that picture. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. I hope it helps. You can ask any kind of question that you want in the comments. I'm gonna answer everyone. And thanks for staying with me. Have a good night. Bye bye.